Hi there, and welcome to another Airbus tutorial video. I'm your host, Jersey Aviator, also known as the guy on the internet who controls virtual planes and little dots on the screen, but flies airplanes for real. I'm glad you've returned. I've missed you very much. So, what are we discussing today? It's a good question. Well, today we're discussing the RNAV RNP approach. Now, I know. Don't get upset. It's okay. RNP. I know. It's 3 letters. You have no idea what it means. In this video, you're going to find out what it means. It stands for Required Navigational Performance. Well, Joe, what's the difference between an RNAV approach and an RNAV RNP approach? Gabagool. I don't know, guys. I have no idea the difference. I don't. I'm kidding, guys. I know the difference. RNP essentially is telling you, not telling you, you're telling the airplane that you need it to obey a very specific threshold of deviation. So let me put it in terms maybe you can understand a little bit better. Picture this. You're driving along the road, right? In your old little car, all right? You're driving down the road and there's one lane, right? This lane is this wide, right? Then all of a sudden, there are construction cones that are starting to get into this lane, which now make the lane a little bit tighter, and you have to be a little more accurate when you're driving down. Because if you're not, you're going to drive into a cone, and then you're going to hit a construction worker, and then you're going to commit a felony crime of vehicular manslaughter, and it won't matter because you won't flight sim anymore from jail. So, why am I making this analogy? This is a wild analogy, Joe. I don't get it, but I'm still watching for some reason because I'm entertained. I'm glad I've hooked you in. Press the like button, subscribe, give me a hug. I need love. Okay, so essentially what I'm trying to get at here is RNP is a level of accuracy you're telling the airplane that it cannot deviate from. If you don't do anything on an RNAV approach in the terminal environment, you're going to have, typically it's going to just say 1.0 unless you tell it. On a typical RNAV approach, when you're shooting an RNAV, not an RNP, you put in 0.3, you're good to go. You're telling it, hey, you can deviate 0.3 from this of accuracy, and you're good to go. On an RNP approach, it can go down to much lower than that. In this video, you're going to see we're going to go down to RNP 0.1. That is a ridiculous amount of accuracy that it needs to obey. Now, why would we care about this level of accuracy, you ask? Think about when you're flying in mountainous terrain. Why would we need a higher level of accuracy with the autopilot? Probably because we don't want to fly into a mountain. I hear that is not good for airplanes, flying them into mountains. I hear it is not where they belong. They belong on runways and taxiways and in the sky, not in the side of a mountain. So that is the purpose of an RNP approach. It's extremely accurate, but there are a couple of things that you're going to need to program into your MCDU and, in theory, your FMGC, because the MCDU is essentially just the interface unit that's talking to your FMGCs, your flight management guidance computers. So in this video, we're going to go right into it. All right, so we're going to hop over to this edit where the video begins, and we're going to walk you through how to shoot the RNP Zulu runway 17 right into Denver, Colorado. All right, guys, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about all the different types of approaches and how to fly them in the Airbus properly. As you can see right now, we are loaded up somewhere in the sky. For those of you familiar, I'll give you guys a second to guess where we're going. And if you know how to read an ND, a navigational display, you see we're going to Denver. And right now I have loaded in the RNP Zulu 17 right, the RNAV RNP 17 right. This is arguably one of the most technical approaches that you're going to have to fly and understand how it works. It's actually super easy once you understand how the plane's set up for it. Typically, RNP approaches are just required due to the fact that there's usually an arc or a required threshold that the plane must be within. So for me to show you guys this, I'm going to open up Navigraph charts here really quick. And I'm going to do a little bada bing, bada boom here. So we're going to open this up. You guys can't see the screen yet, but we're going to do, what are we doing? RNP 17, right? Be a quickie. Here we go. All right. So if I go like this and give you a little bada bing here, boom. All right. Magic of things. Okay. This is an RNP approach. You can always know that it's RNP because it says RNP on it. Now, in the real world, you need authorization to conduct an RNP approach. The reason for that is your aircraft has to be capable of it, and your airline has to be authorized for it. On the VATSIM network, many times you will not be assigned an RNP approach. You will have to request an RNP approach because we don't know, if you know how to fly an RNP approach or anything like that. Versus the real world, I can tell you almost every single time in the past couple of months that I've flown into Denver, especially on a red-eye flight, coming in late and whatnot, and I'm coming in from the east, from the Philadelphia area. I'll be coming in on the Star, and the Star will literally have a VIA that connects direct to Quickie to dump me into the RNP. Very common. Sometimes they're running ILSs. It just depends on the day at Denver. Anyway, I digress. Essentially, we're not going to teach you how to read Jeppesen plates. If you don't know how to do that, there are a lot of videos out there on how to read it. The main thing to know is that you have these arc areas here. And the reason that you need RNP, required navigational performance, is because from this section to junk box, you have the plane having to fly a very specific arc. Right, and typically these are a lot more important in severely mountainous terrain areas. So you have to be hyper aware of that when doing it. But if you go down here, you can see there's two different RNP values for this approach. There's RNP 0.10 and RNP 0.30. Obviously, you can see that RNP 0.10 and RNP 0.30, they have two very different values. 5722, which is 330 feet above the ground, and RNP 0.3 is 502 feet above the ground. Two very, very different, values, because the accuracy. The more accurate it is, the lower you can essentially go. So just an important thing to note. That's essentially what it does. But you can see here, number 6, use of flight director or autopilot providing RNAV track guidance required during simultaneous operations. So if they're running the other approach, which they very constantly are, typically on the other side, you may have to be aware of that. But you can see VGSI and RNAV glide path are not coincident, which means the PAPIs will not match the actual glide path once you get to your decision height or your decision altitude right here. All right. So we're going to essentially walk you guys through how to do this. And let's just jump right in here. And I'm going to unpause the sim. And I'm going to open this up. Okay. I have my WinWing MCDU here, so you're going to not see me click around here on the screen, but more so you're just going to see it react. So we can see right now. Ma'am? Ma'am? Why are you talking? 29 or 85? Oof. Gotta bring these way down. All right, 2985. All right, if I just quickly make sure that I'm good here. I'm going to turn these off so I don't have to listen to them. All right, so if we look here at the MCDU, just going to zoom in so y'all can see it better. We can see right now that 17 right is loaded with the actual approach. I have zero intentions of flying this approach. I'm just going to turn the plane off track for a second. Just going to essentially turn it around here. Quickly show you guys, I'm just turning it out of the way so that I can buy a little bit of time here. I'll just turn it on a 170 heading and we'll go back in here. So the main thing to know, can I make this bigger? Let me see. No, I can't. It won't let me. Okay. So when you're loading an RNP approach, you have to configure the box in a very specific way. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly blow this this approach. I'm just going to put in an approach that I'm not actually shooting and just blow that out. So now it's not even in there. The way to set this up for an RNP approach is you go to your line select key 6 on the left side, and you go to arrival. Now, if you're coming in on a star, you're already going to have the star programmed. I'm just vectoring myself around the airspace right now, so it really doesn't matter. I'm just loading an approach. You're going to scroll down or using the up key because it's reversed, which always throws people off. And you're going to find the runway you want. In this case, I want the RNP, RNAV 17 right Zulu. So again, I have the chart open. I know that that's an RNP approach, so I need to select RNAV 17 right Zulu. And it's going to say stars available. Do you want a star? No. Do I want a VA? Yes. I want to shoot it from Quickie. And now you can see approach RNAV 17 right Zulu via Quickie, no star, confirm, and we insert. All right, so you can see we have Quickie, STAM, DavTech, PAYOG, junk box. So again, you should be looking at your plate and make sure that those fixes match. Quickie, STAM, DavT, PAYOG, junk box, and then it should go to Joule, 17 right, Jaker, ho-hum, hold right, ho-hum. Cool. So you've done the first step. The second step is setting up the aircraft so that it's aware that it's going to be shooting an RNP approach. So you're going to go to your RADNAV button, and you're going to see nothing in there. That's what you want. You shouldn't be seeing any ILS frequencies. If you do, you have a problem. You now go to the prog page. Now, I'm going to go in reverse really quick, guys. There's a standard when you're flying the Airbus that you learn in very beginning is called doing the hat. So when you're setting up an approach, you need to do the hat. And a lot of people are like, what the hell is the hat? Or the top hat, some companies will call it. And what it essentially is if I screenshot this for a second, I don't know if it'll appear, but we'll turn this on so you guys can actually see. What the top hat is what we do here is we are trying to make this nice and big. We are going here to here to here to here to here. That is the hat. You're essentially doing a hat. You're going through these buttons in order to build your approach. So whenever someone says top hat or brief the hat or plan the hat, that's what they're typically referring to. So we've already done the flight plan button. We've already done the RADNAV, and now we're on the prog page. This is very important. This is your GPS accuracy page. This is going to tell you if your GPS primary, what your accuracy level is, all that fun stuff. What we need is to modify this. Right now, you see that it's 1.0 is required just because we're in the terminal environment and it doesn't think you need anything else. We're shooting an RNP approach. We need to tell the plane, hey, I need you to be at this accuracy level. And if you're not at this accuracy level, you need to warn me. Because if you're shooting an RNP approach, very typically you'll find RNP approaches in mountainous terrain. If you have a deviation from that threshold, you would want to know so you don't, fly into a mountain. So in this scenario, we are going to use the highest accuracy level that is available for this approach, which is 0.1. And we found that value by looking at the approach plate. And we're going to put that next to the required 1.0. So now we're telling the plane, okay, it's time to shape up, be ready to go, because I need you to be on your A game. Do not try to do this when you are 400 miles, 500 miles from the airport. If you do that, your GPS primary accuracy will go to low because you are in the en route environment. And if you're at 38,000 feet, it's like, I can't maintain a 0.1 accuracy this high in the air, sorry. So it goes to GPS accuracy low. Again, you should typically do this when you're 200, maximum 250 miles out from the airport. So you've now set that up. You now have the perf page. In the perf page, you're going to be putting in your environmentals. Right now, I think it's 29.85. All right, the wind's 230 at 5. So it's 230 at 5. Temperature is 14 degrees. And that is all set. Cool. Our baro, we have to put in our baro minimum. So again, we have to look at the plate to determine that, and that would be 5722. So 5722. So you have everything set up. You're going to be doing a full landing config. Your green dot speed is 214. That's your clean speed for maneuvering. V approach speed of 136 and the VLS 131. Wonderful. You did that. Your fuel prediction. You're going to have 12.3 when you land into Denver. Wonderful. And then secondary, we'll just make a copy of the active. However, we are not done. There's one more thing you typically have to do. I don't know if they model it. This is just in the real airplane. You have to deselect your nav aids. So essentially, right now, selected nav aids are these. Typically, real world, there's a deselect nav aids button, not a deselect GPS. Because if I do that, you see GPS primary is lost. So now it's not even using that. So we're done with that at this point. We did the flight plan. We did the rad nav. There's nothing in it. We have our required RNP. We are in the climb mode right now. Cruise, descent, and approach. We did all that, and we're good there. Fuel prediction is done, and our secondary is a copy of the active. Now, what I typically would also do, and this is just me, because if this was an actual instrument approach, I'm going to put the thrust reduction altitude 1,000 above Barrowman, so it would be 6722. So I would do something like 6722 / 6722. So 6720, I'm going to do 6730 and 6730. All right. Now the plane will be at thrust reduction altitude if you go around at that altitude instead of lower, because you want, obviously, altitude to work with. That's how you set up the box. So the box is completely set up and ready to go at this point. All right. So what we need to do now is we now need to essentially execute the approach phase. I'm going to immediately navigate direct to Quickie. So to do that, you're just going to press your direct button, top left corner, and you're going to click Quickie, direct to insert. Now the plane is going to, if you take a look, it's going to now nav, and it's going to go to Quickie, which is 58 miles away because I've been lecturing you guys, and we somehow traveled that far away for that long. Okay, guys, so as you can see, we're about 27 miles from Quickie at this point. I'm doing 300 knots. I'm going to teach you guys a trick in the Airbus, and this rule works. I fly Airbus only at my company, so I'm very familiar with flying the A320 and A321, both the classic engine option and the new engine option, CO versus NEO. The rule of thumb in an Airbus is quite simple. If you are at straight and level flight, 1 mile will cost you 10 knots of airspeed. So if you use that rule of thumb, it will take you roughly 5 miles to be able to get to 250 knots, because we're at 300 if I want to go to 250. That is the rule of thumb. As long as you obey that rule, it's usually right. So right now we're 21 miles from Quickie. If I slow to 250 now, without using any speed brakes or anything like that, I know that worst case scenario, it's going to take me 5 miles. And in this case, with the winds and everything, it's not even going to take me that long. I've used, maybe we're at 3 miles. 3 miles or so. 1 mile for 10 knots of airspeed is a very good rule of thumb. It works most of the time. Now, this is where you need to start being hyper aware of where you are in space. Okay? So if we pause the sim really quick. All right. Pause. We can see that we are 15.9 miles from Quickie. We can see that there's a speed restriction next to Quickie. Now, if you do not see this, and you have something like that, oh, actually, it's wrong one. If you have something like that, you just have the wrong mode on. You need your constraints mode on. That's located right above your EFIS panel. or it's on your EFIS panel technically. So you can see there are different modes. You want constraint mode on, okay? There's something that a lot of people miss in the Airbus world, and they don't realize that they have to activate an approach phase. Typically, it'll happen on its own when you pass what's called the D point. It's a big D with a circle. In this case, I believe it's over here somewhere. The D point, real world, I don't like to use. I like control of my airplane. There's nothing wrong with it. It's usually very good. In this case, I'm not going to use it, though. I know I need to be 210 at quickie when it comes to speed in 11,000 feet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to unpause. I'm going to slow the airplane down on my FCU here to 210 knots. That way my speed is selected, I'm there. I need to go down to my MCDU and go to the perf page and activate the approach phase. Now the plane is ready to execute an approach. It's in approach mode. Pause. When you activate the approach phase, if you are not in selected speed, you will immediately reduce speed to green dot. That's this green dot here. So we remember by looking at our performance page, our approach page within the performance, we can see green dot 215. So I know now if I quickly remanage this and I press a manage speed, the plane is going to slow down to green dot and hang out there. It will do nothing else. It'll hang out there until you do something different. For those of you who don't know, this is what's called a managed approach. The speed is managed and the navigation is managed. If I deploy flaps 1 right now, it's going to slow to S speed. You don't see S speed yet, you just see green dot. I don't want to slow to S speed. I'm fine doing 210 knots. I can tell you that I'm going to struggle just a hair when I start descending on this because I'm going to have a heavy airplane. And I want you to see this because real world, it happens all the time on an RNP approach. So now we're navving to quickie. There's 2 things that you have to remember when you do this. A brick, a stick, and 2 FMAs. That's the rules of RNAV. So we're cleared the approach. We're going to press the approach push button. And then we are going to set our final approach fixed altitude, which is 7,000 feet at Joule, and you are going to push in on this. Now, what you're going to see is the send out final, but it's not sending, Joe. The reason it's not sending is Quickie has a constraint here at 11,000 feet. It's not going to do anything for you until it's past that point. But you can see we have a brick, we have a stick, and we have 2 FMAs, descent app nav. So brick, stick, 2 FMAs, we're good. We can see our vertical deviation coming in, our lateral deviation coming in, and now we are about to establish over quickie, and the plane will start descending. You can see the vertical speed starting to go down, and now you can see it's going to say, oh, I got to start catching up now. Now, this is where you can get yourself in trouble if you are unaware of your aircraft. If I want to slow this plane down, watch how much it's going to struggle to slow down. Hope the sim doesn't lie to me this time. If I try to get to 180, which is usually the speed I cross the final approach fix in the Airbus, 180, 190, look how much it's struggling. This speed tape is just not going down. It is struggling because it's trying to descend at the same time and do everything. So what do? We can add speed brakes, right? Can put out some brakes. Try to do that. No, that's not really helping us. What do we got? What's the base piece of drag here, guys? What else can we do? Let's think. The gear. Put the gear down. Throw the gear down. Now, do I really need to? Not really. It's getting to where I need it to be. It's just doing it really slowly. If I get to PAOG and I'm not getting close to that $180, I'll start getting concerned. I want to be a $180 at Joule for sure. So you can see I'm just going to make these a little bigger for everybody. We can see we're shooting this approach. The autopilot's on, it's doing the hard work. And you're going to see 9,000 was the constraint, now PAOG at 8,800, and it's just obeying it. So now we're good. We're at 180. We're VFE next -10. I'll get flaps 2 in there. All right, cool, perfect. We're golden. We are golden nuggets right now. You can actually see the engines are spinning up to now maintain it because I increased the drag with that flap out, and it's just warning me that the speed brake is still deployed. Speed final app. Let's pause. When you get the final app enunciation, this is where you set your missed approach altitude. Your missed approach altitude on this plate is 10,000 feet. All right. So once you have final app, you can set the missed approach altitude in the FCU. No time before that can you do it because you are still in that descent mode going to that 7,000 feet until the plane realizes, oh, okay, I'm in the final approach phase. At that point, you can then set the missed approach altitude. At this point, it will not affect anything. So 10,000 is now set for the missed. I'm just going to double check my chart here. It is 10, yes. All right, now we're coming in. Coming in on the RNP, we can see here's the runway we're going to be landing. Everything's looking good. You can see the vertical deviation, lateral deviation. We're good. We're well within our RNP limits right now, which remember we put in here RNP 0.1. So we're well within limitation right now. No problems there. And you know what? I'm going to say, what the heck, right? Let's go gear down. A little bit early, but that's all right. Just for the sake of the sim. We're going gear down now. And we're still just flying this RNP approach. You can see it just flew that arc beautifully all the way in without much issue. We're at 8,000 feet. Now, the speed is still selected at 180. It will continue doing this until I tell it to manage itself. I do not want it to manage anything just yet. The reason being is if I let it manage it, what's going to happen is it's going to immediately try to slow down. Maybe ATC said, give me $1.80 to Joule. Okay, I have to stay speed selected until that point. So at this point, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm good to go. I'll manage the speed. And again, I just manage the speed by pressing in on this knob, on the speed knob on the FCU. You can see the plane is now slowing down. We're crossing over Joule in half a mile, right where we need to be. We're VFE next, -10. Boom. And we are just established on this beautiful final approach. We have no problems here. We're coming in. Everything's good. Everything's beautiful. Life is good. We're happy. Go lucky. Flaps full. Landing checklist. Cabin signal has been given. Auto thrust to speed. Landing gear is down in 3 green. And ECAM memo is landing no blue. That cabin isn't a real world thing. I never see that in the real airplane. I don't understand why it's simulated here. Wish I could turn that off. And now I'm just flying the autopilot all the way down to the decision height because why not, right, guys? Certain companies have certain restrictions when to turn the autopilot on and off. At least at my company, when I fly, if we're using like something below a 0.3 accuracy, so more accurate than 0.3, we have to keep the autopilot on to the essentially the decision height, decision altitude. So we're coming in. We're looking for Barrow 5722 as our minima, and we're getting there, guys. So we're gonna come in and we're just gonna land the jet at this point. Hopefully I do a semi-good landing because that would be awkward if I didn't. And we're coming in, everything's good. And we're almost at 57. 100 above. 100 above, yeah, we know. All right. And minimums, autopilot's away.
400. Minimum. 300.
Slightly offset. This is going to be a bad landing. I can feel it already in my sim. It's going to be a real bad landing. Wow, this is bad. Sorry,
50,
guys.
40, 30, 20, retard.
This is real terrible.
10,
don't land like this, guys.
5.
I promise you I don't land the plane and float that much. That would have been a go around real world, guys. Ground spoilers, reverse green decel. $70 knots. And that's it, guys. We cleared the runway and we are Gucci to go. So you guys get the idea. That's what an RNP approach looks like. Just going to clear the whole short line here. Jesus. The bumps and turbulence is like very obvious in this plane right now. Okay. All right, parking brake set. So yeah, guys, that's an RNP approach. So to review, I'm just going to make myself a little bit bigger here. Let's unlock this. To review, what do we know about an RNP approach? It's used in terrain areas. So if you're flying around terrain, you may be issued an RNP approach. It's a higher level of accuracy typically than just typical RNAV. It does not require the use of a localizer or ground-based navigational equipment. Right? It's has a couple more steps to plan within your MCDU. And because you're in this constant descending turn, you have to factor in speed management and drag management. Those are really the main highlights of what an RNP approach looks like. So what I want you guys to do is load up your sims, and whether you're flying on a network or not flying on a network, try doing this. So in this case, what I'd say is maybe go to Denver. Go somewhere that has an RNP approach. There are plenty. Honestly, if you just open up, let's take a look, see here. If we open this up, I'm sure Las Vegas has to have one. Let's take a look here. Yeah, there's an RNP for 26 right. All right, here's a really good RNP for 26 right. Can see that there's a mountain at 3,000 feet right here. This is an RNP approach. Can see that RNP 0.3, missed approach climb gradient minimum 230 per nautical mile. So you can see there's a difference between the terps of which one you're going to do when you're selecting your minima. But you can see just because of the terrain there, you have the RNP that's going to zip you all the way around that. Let's see. Obviously, we know JFK has an RNP approach, right? I'm trying to think of other mountainous terrain. I don't know if Aspen has one. Eagle Vale does. KEGE does. If I look at Eagle Vale, I know Eagle Vale has one. RNP Zulu. This is a good one, yep. RNP X-ray. RNAV Yankee. RNP. You can see that there's RNP 0.11 here. RNP X-ray is 0.13. So they're two different RNP approaches when it comes to accuracy. And you can see RNP 0.15 over Haiti. Max is 180 knots over Haiti. You can see Haiti's at 12,700 feet, but you can see why it has this maximum threshold, because you're literally flying over mountains as you're trying to get into Aspen. So you have all these accuracies. So these charts really give you a much better idea of the purpose of an RNP approach, or required navigational performance approach. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll try to keep cranking these videos out. So tell me if you guys like this approach video, teaching you how to do the approach, why we do it, and I'll try to crank a couple more out. Thanks.